politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU
The
strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Good morning and welcome to Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. It's Global Morning on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to today, the 4th day of October 2024. And we're indeed very excited to have you join us this morning. I'm not alone. I've got the man called Ramsey Enoka, who's looking northern and truly like an emir, but I don't know which of the districts you're covering.
Well, it's a beautiful day, and I'm so excited to be right here on Global Morning today. And we are ready to take you around a lot of beautiful things. I think, Anthony, emirship. This title you're giving me,
it's causing some issues in Kano.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
I don't want to be summoned by the elders to say, hey, come on, when did you become an elder?
Just tell them.
It's a title.
Somebody just christened you that they thought you were looking so northern that you deserve this subtitle. All right.
Should I be speaking Hausa or something right now?
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's nice. So, just to balance out, and now you cost me. I took him on a blue-handed. All right, our plan is just to ensure that your day is truly amazing and ensure that you're well informed as regards all the big happenings across the globe, and especially the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria, just to get you informed. It's no secret that a lot of things are playing out as usual every day in Nigeria, and one of the main talking points of recent has to do with the Rivers local government elections that is causing all forms or all shades of crisis with the two biggest parties in Nigeria, talking about the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressive Congress, emerged in the battle to ensure that the local government elections do not hold with the protests we saw in Rivers State where they all stormed the INEC office protesting and also handing out letters to security agencies, the INEC office, the PDP and APC, saying that the elections shouldn't hold for different forms of reasons. And yesterday we had the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, hold a press conference saying they are in support of the elections to hold on Saturday. For you, do you think this is just about power play and some political bigwigs trying to, sabotage Nigeria's democracy?
Well, no, the issue of Rivers State politics doesn't start today. It's been a very long time coming, even before Wike came into office and left, before Fubara came into office. And for Fubara, the whole thing was blown out of proportion because of some inconsistencies that we saw. And looking at what is happening in Rivers State, I think there are some persons that are interested in certain things. And if you ask me, I will tell you that Fubara, in a way, has not gotten a full grip of Rivers State. You know what happened to him when he assumed office after a very long time. He didn't start ruling Rivers State because of the problem he was having with the FCT minister.
Was he having or still having?
Well, I should say.
Some are saying that's one of the reasons this.
I think the heat has reduced a little bit. Okay, the heat. Like when he first came into office, there were a lot of inconsistencies from the lawmakers to the councillors, everywhere, you know. But now I think it's mellowing down a little bit. But notwithstanding, it's not over yet until it's over. But looking at the council election, if it doesn't happen, then they won't participate. They won't partake of the autonomy. Remember what the ruling said, because caretaker committee, a caretaker chairman will not benefit from the local government autonomy. Yeah. So the earlier the better. Not just Rivers State, so many states, including Benue State, are conducting their local government election. All right, so and other states too. So what should happen if the people? This is not all about Fubara now. Not all about the councillors. Not all about Wike himself, but the people of Rivers State. And as it is, those in governance owe it all to the people, because you are there as a leader to lead the people and make them enjoy the benefit of our democracy. But look at everybody rejoicing, everyone happy for the fact that local government autonomy is coming to stay. And you're having this inconsistency. If that election doesn't hold, it's going to be bad for Rivers State. So the better, I think I go with IPAC. The election should hold, okay, beyond every odd, and everyone should share their sword and allow that election to hold. Not for any reason, but for the benefit of the people of Rivers State.
All right, I hope the IPAC story, hopefully somewhere along the line, will be aired so that for the benefit of those who didn't hear the IPAC chairman, Yusuf Dantali, make comments on it. Also, there were very key takeaways from that press conference where IPAC was very straightforward with the accusation on the judiciary, saying the judiciary has been one of the brains of our democracy, how they did truncate the 1993 elections that produced Moshood Abiola as the president-elect, and still calling on the judiciary not to do the same for these local government elections because of the litany of conflicting rulings in Rivers State. How key and how much pressure is the CJ and the current CJ is to ensure that those conflicting, rulings are put to bed, and to ensure that the judiciary does not go ahead to also throw more rocks in the spanner of the elections?
I think if you want to talk about the judiciary, they are where they are. Until you take it to them, I am not satisfied with the election, then you go to court. That's where you meet the judiciary. If not the process, I don't think the judiciary has hand in the process of election.
Yeah, but the conflicting rulings are already even
if you don't take your case to the court, because I think there are some things, there are some gray areas that we need to look at before we start blaming people. The politicians, when there are gray areas, you go to court. That is where the judiciary comes in. And a lot of people in this part of the world, there is this belief that if the judgment doesn't go your way, you feel like you've been cheated by the judiciary. If you ask an esquire, if you ask a lawyer, a barrister right now, the barrister will tell you that is what it is, that every judgment you hear, every case you hear being treated is based on evidence beyond reasonable doubt. So if IPAC is blaming the judiciary, then we should be blaming the politicians, first of all, who took the case to the judiciary, which is not supposed to be.
Are you saying we're not supposed to trust the judiciary to be sincere, even when it's just like the 1993 presidential elections, which was overwhelming? Everybody knew Nigerians poured out to vote for MK Abiola, and the judiciary alongside INEC, their verdict came the opposite direction. Are you saying it's just because it's brought to you that you have the license to malign or give verdicts that are not sincere in the name of technicalities, or saying just based on what was brought before you? Even the judicial officials, they're accusing, they admit that things were done wrongly. The ex-late president Yar'Adua also did admit that the process that brought him to power was flawed. So
that brought Yar'Adua to power?
Yeah, the president himself did admit.
Yar'Adua admitted.
Yes, he did.
That the power that brought him into office. Yes. I didn't research that anyway, but then come to talk about the fact that you asked a question.
Yes.
If I want to say the judiciary.
No, the APEC has already accused the judiciary, stating different.
It is an accusation.
It's just like the ownership we talked about, the ownership tussle we talked about, where the judiciary had different conflicting rulings between the two areas.
See, the truth is this: something happened when the new CJN was appointed. Some senior lawyers came up to say, well, one of the first things that should be done is sanitizing the system.
Okay, so what does that tell you?
What it means is
admission that something wrong.
The truth is this: it is not still far from the fact that a lot of people feel aggrieved if judgment doesn't go their way. And we are not saying the judicial system is clean 100%.
Okay.
But then, shifting blame, we need to get above the level of shifting blames and think of how we can even be without the blames coming at all. Because Nigeria is a country that has all it takes to have a smooth democracy. You understand? Before now, it was INEC. But recently, when the issue of if you are not satisfied, go to court came up. Now,
why was that? Why was that? That was because they knew that even when we went to the courts, the possibility of getting justice was far.
But you know where we are. You know how the system works. So if you want to go to court, the first thing you should do is get an evidence that cannot be overturned. Sometimes these things happen and you don't need to tell anyone that it was done the other way. But then when the evidences are there, you come out and make it plain. Look at what happened in 2023 after the presidential election.
Okay.
The Peter Obi, the Labour Party and Peter Obi, the case. I don't know if you followed the process, how it all went down. Some persons were of the school of thought that the Labour Party didn't have enough evidence
to prove
what they were saying. And some other persons said it went in favor of the other faction because they didn't get judgment. And so all the time you have conflicting opinions. But what I say and what I tell Nigerians is that everyone is entitled to their opinion. But then, if we do the right thing, we are not exonerating anyone from the fact that some things played out at different levels.
In terms of the judiciary being compromised?
Both from the beginning, from that man that voted,
okay,
to the electoral officers, to the ad hoc officers, to the politicians, to the judiciary, and from the beginning to the end, we can get these things right if we get it right from the beginning. Because it's just like someone telling a lie and having to tell more lies to actually cover up the first lie that was being lied. So what I'm saying in essence is the process needs to be clean from the beginning. So if you're accusing someone, you need to be sure that your hands are clean. That is what it is.
All right, if I hear your opinion is
that's my opinion. Every other person may belong to a different school of thought, like you are.
No, mine is simple. The judiciary should play that honorable path of, regardless of whatever comes. You shouldn't say because because it was faulted from the beginning. So it gives you that right to use technicalities to throw it out. When obviously you're seeing white is white, you turn it black under the technicality platform, or because of the fact that you feel like, okay, there's not enough evidence, but you know it's true. But just because you know there's a loophole, you catch on the loophole because of your awareness of that sector.
Can I tell you something? Maybe you don't know this. The judge, okay, cannot manufacture judgment. So based on evidence. True. Sometimes are clean like this. Have you been to the court before when someone will plead guilty? Okay, even when the person is not guilty, at that point in time, the lawyer, okay, is even handicapped. You can't do anything further. True. So sometimes these judges, okay, know what is supposed to be, but because the evidences are not there, they can't manufacture it. And these things are very technical. We're just talking about it.
There's no doubt that whatever rulings they give is based on the evidence before them. But there are also some cases where the evidence is so obvious, but based on technicalities, either rulings or matters are thrown out of court. And they've been also, remember when judges were raided by the federal government and security agencies, and we're talking about top judges that were raided. And the question is, if those persons weren't found wanting or weren't compromised, those actions wouldn't have been taken. We're talking about the federal government. Yes, when they raided alongside the DSS and some security operatives raided reason. Of course, they were compromised. They allegedly had compromised money. Large sums of money were found either in their offices or at home. Right? Those actions were one of the low points of the judiciary, and it did happen in this country. And so that goes a long way to tell us things that have happened. And I think in as much as we try to be objective, in as much as I agree that whatever ruling is based on evidence, there also have been cases, clear court cases where the evidence had proved otherwise, but because these judges have been compromised, and for the fact that the judges they themselves have also admitted that there is need to clean up the system, we don't need any other evidence or any other proof to show that yes, they agree that some lawyers, some judges have compromised.
I think now you're coming to what I'm saying. That where I had issue with your statement is the generalizing, but I think you had it.
No, obviously, it's form. Of course,
it is understandable, and that's the reason. There was a time that I confronted a lawyer. Okay, to say why is certain things happening. He was trying to manipulate, but I had to hold him.
Who was trying to manipulate?
Not manipulating a case. He was trying to dodge from the reality. Okay.
Of what?
The fact that some lawyers, some judges, at a point compromises.
Okay.
But not all. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's the reason. Because I was actually emphatic, because it's obvious that some Nigerians no longer have confidence in the judiciary, because there is this belief that if you don't have enough money, you won't be able to get justice in this country. It is a school of thought.
I think that's the same line.
They said the judiciary is no longer the hope of the common man, that it used to be. So what I am actually trying to make you understand is the fact that it is not all, but some,
of course,
and not just the judiciary, but this is something that has eaten deeply into the fabric of so many systems. All right, not just the judiciary. That's why I said we don't have to generalize, because some person, I've heard from a judge before who made a statement, because what really happened is that he was handling a case of homicide.
Okay.
And of course the person was guilty and he was supposed to pass his judgment. Then the people went diabolical. Okay, and he met a man of God to say, sir, this is the situation. The people have gone diabolical, but the truth is...
How did he come to that Are you playing a movie or it's a real life situation?
It's a real life situation. It's a real life situation because of what was happening to him.
He knew it was.
I think he was also confronted.
Okay.
And he was also confronted.
The parties involved.
Yeah, the parties involved. And he said, since I became a judge several years ago, if I've taken a penny from anyone, whatever anyone do, they should succeed.
Okay.
But if I had never taken a penny to pass any judgment since I became a judge, then whatever I do, it will not succeed. Just pray for me. And I settled it all. At the end of the day, everything went on smoothly. The judgment was passed and nothing happened. So there are still some persons in the system who still hold on to the integrity of what the judiciary stands for. And it's what we're talking about is not just the judiciary alone, but it affects other sectors and other systems in the society.
All right, so what we'll be looking at is the ratio of the corrupt judges or lawyers, the judiciary, to those that are not corrupt. Hopefully, we hope that this new CJN, that was one of the questions that were asking how true, how well you think she'll be able to sanitize the system, because already, because she's a woman, for me I feel that will even make it easier for her to get the job done, because the men probably would to be more difficult for them because they have lots of comedy, but for the women folk it might be easier for her. But the question is, she's already involved in a very controversial issue already, talking about the conferment of national honors, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives and his members are feeling like, why she should be giving X one and he giving a lower A, and why is he being given far? So I think it's that's another. So that again, this is where I talk about the judiciary always being immersed in one form of controversy or the other. All right,
let's move on.
Well, let's move on to other interesting talking point. Already we know that in the Middle East, talking about on the BBC now, there's been a lot of back and forth between Israel, Hamas, Iran, and all that. For me, I think I feel the United Nations have also been dragged into it, with the United Nations Secretary General President Antonio Guterres being declared persona non grata to Israel. For you, before we start looking at the papers, do you think that was going too far by Israel? And at the same time, do you think Antonio Guterres also has shown some level of probably impartiality by not speaking out against the 180 ballistic missiles fired at Israel, rather than keeping mum, because that's Israel's pain. When it comes to attacks on Gaza, Palestinians, and other regions of the world, you find Antonio Guterres coming out quickly to speak, to say all parties should cease the killings and all that. But when it came to Israel's turn, 180 plus missiles fired at them, he was quiet. Do you think he's kind of taking sides?
Well, this fight is something that has been for a very long time.
Sure.
And if you ask me, I'll keep asking, because what's really the problem? All right, what's really the problem? Ego playing in, then the people are suffering. But then, talking about the missile released to Israel, and nothing is happening about it, and Guterres is not making any statement about it. So many things are happening, but I think there is some form of interest, okay? But as it is, Israel is actually trying to be calm, not for any reason, but because they know that fighting all the time, okay, and not bringing this war to an end, at the end of the day, may not end up well. And these missiles that were released, I tell you the truth, this is another way of telling Israel that we want you to attack us. And you know, if Israel attack, it's massive. Israel's attack is massive. We've heard of Israel in the past, how many wars they've won and all of that, times in memorial, before we were even born. You know, before we were even born.
So you think it's a deliberate plot to provoke Israel?
That's what I feel.
So into a full-blown war.
This is provoking Israel. And I think the wisdom demands that whoever that is concerned, whoever that is instigating this war for certain reasons, at least at this point, this is a long-standing war. It's been there for a very long time. I'm afraid. Okay,
you think it's going to pan out to a third world war?
It shouldn't. But I'm afraid if this continues with this support and undertone and so many other things happening, with this silence when it happens to some persons, you are silent. When it happens to the other party, you are outspoken. All this will aggravate certain things, and at the end of the day, there might be an escalation. So I think during the UNGA 79, a lot of statements were made. Israel made a statement: if you fire at us, if you fight us, we would fight back. Meaning, if you hear that statement very well, you will know that Israel are not ready to attack all the time. But this release of missile is a provocation, and anything may happen. And when these things will happen, they might be taken unawares.
All right, but do you think some scholars believe Israel had gone too far with the retaliation of the October 7 attack by the endless killing of women, children in Gaza, the Palestinians specifically? Some believe Israel had killed too many people in the name of trying to retaliate, or in the name of trying to eliminate completely the Hamas group resident in Gaza.
Well, I'm not in support of war. I'm not in support of fight. There shouldn't be fight. There shouldn't be war. I am an ambassador of peace, as a matter of fact. But then, looking at what is happening between Israel and the Palestinians, you said something. Retaliate.
Yes. And eliminate Hamas.
Something happened and there was a retaliation.
Yeah.
Why should that thing happen in the first place? Why should the attack happen? You know, an angry man, sometimes when you are angry, you exceed your boundaries. Because sometimes some actions are not controllable when some people are angry. This is retaliation. We don't know, nobody is talking about the damages done in Israel, in as much as we don't support the fight, the killing of women and children. In fact, during in war situations, sometimes some soldiers see women and children and they just pass them by. Some even give them water, whatever they are carrying, because they feel these people, to an extent, are innocent. They go after the men, which they believe is generation. If you even want to wipe a generation, you begin from the men, because they are the ones that are representative of a generation. Every single man wiped out of the planet Earth, the surface of the earth, is a generation being cancelled. So I'm going after women and children. I'm not in support of it. But then the truth is this: don't even go ahead to attack Israel before you retaliate. See the missile that was being released now. I told you earlier, nobody knows what Israel is planning and what is going to happen next. You understand? So what I'm saying is, everyone should go back home, get to the drawing board. Don't even provoke anyone to anger before there will be retaliation.
All right. That's the peace ambassador there, but there's always war before there's peace. All right, we'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll start looking at what the papers are saying this morning on Global Morning. Stay with us. Right, welcome back from the break. It's time for us to look at what the papers are saying this morning, and we're beginning with the Daily News Hub. Let's see what the big headlines are saying this morning. We've got anti-terror war is the kicker there. Wanted bandit kingpin Toji. The military says, I am not afraid to die. That's the big headline story there from the Daily News Hub. We've got Governor Ayo Datiwa appoints Kayode Fasua Owena, the press limited MD editor-in-chief. Alright, we've got Nigerians tired, will change this government in 2027, says Kwankwaso. And we've got other headline stories. PDP supporters reject Rivers local government election, protest Saturday's exercise. We've got a PDP crisis, is a kicker here. Court dismisses suit seeking Damagum's sack. And we've got from Ondo State, Datiwa floats diaspora smart city, rules foreign investors. Experts tackle Nigeria's food scarcity, insecurity at NAS Citizens Summit. And we've got Kwara governor mourns victims of the Kwajibo boat mishap. I was armed, Weber says controversial prophet Ndaboski. Alright, why I rejected Super Eagles job, having Renard speaks, that's talking sports there. And FIFA adjusts transfer rules ahead of 2025 Club World Cup. Then we've got court bars VIO from stopping impounding vehicles. Hooray! I'm sure some Nigerians are happy about that story. Alright, those are some of the stories we are taking this morning from the Daily News Hub. Big story, wanted bandit kingpin Toji. There's military says he's not afraid to die. And we've got PDP supporters reject Rivers local government elections, protest Saturday's exercise. Then we've got court bars VIO from stopping and impounding vehicles. Then why I rejected Super Eagles job, Harvey Renard speaks this morning. And FIFA adjusts the transfer rules ahead of 2025 Club World Cup. And we've got Nigerians tired, will change this government in 2027, says Kwankwaso. So which of the stories caught your fancy?
Well, the story that caught my fancy is the one of VIO. I think,
yeah, that's good news.
Someone said, end of harassment. Harassment has been put to death now. No one will be harassed anymore. But then, looking at it,
the implementation, this show this the will.
That's one thing. That's one thing. This is a judgment coming from the courts. But then the implementation is what we should be talking about. If they are not doing all this, then what now is their function? Or are they trying to say, well, no more VIO?
No, what they're saying is you can't come on the road to stop vehicles and impound them. You could do them by proxy. Probably you already have their details in your system. So just like how they put tickets in across Nigeria, there's a ticket you put in on the car to say, okay, you're charged for XY, maybe you're wrongful parking or all that. So if for peradventure someone has an issue, rather than impound the vehicle on the road or come to harass them while they're driving, the best you could do is when they come to maybe renew their licenses, or you've got the address of where they stay, you could go to their residence. I think that makes it more easier and better than the accident and the discomfort it causes people all the way.
Of the VIO?
Like you hear them, vehicle inspection officers. So their role is to inspect, make sure the vehicles are roadworthy, then also ensure that their licenses and all that are up to scratch, because technically they're a revenue generating agency for the government. And so you can actually generate those revenues without coming on the roads. Just imagine doctors coming on the road to say for patients that probably pay their bills and didn't pay completely, come and hijack you on the road. So it makes it
because there is a little bit of
with the road safety.
No,
conflict of
though
their duties,
their boundaries.
Yeah, obviously.
That we know, they exceed their boundaries. But then, as it is, before you know, you said inspecting vehicles.
Yes.
Where will you inspect the vehicles? You don't see them on the road. You need to be in your office and use the digital process.
Technology. And don't forget, before you get your license, before you become a driver, they're supposed to license. They work hand in hand with some agencies, the driving schools. So it's expected that during that process, one of the officials is supposed to be there to witness, and even if he's not there, reports are supposed to emanate from those driving schools back to the VIO to say this Nigerian has been cleared because he went through this 3 months mandatory driving lessons. He has passed the test and all that, and that's where there's supposed to be video coverage of those exercises, watching you pass the test. And so those cameras we see on the streets, those are supposed.
Which street?
University.
Those cameras are working?
It's really said that they are working because when you go because for instance, I've been to areas where cars have been captured for beating the traffic light.
And that started recently. Those charges traffic lights.
Right. So that's one of them. Secondly, there's one we call body cam that's been worn by officers. So these body cams are also supposed to be worn or used. Either they're worn or they're in cars. For those cars that have these driving schools, those recordings are supposed to be embedded in there so that these VIO officers can use that as a way to assess whatever has been done. Those are the modern ways you do things, not standing on the road and harassing people in the name of trying to inspect, because most times you see when people are in a hurry to go to work or you're tired, you're returning back home, that's when these officers jump on the road, and they've caused lots of accidents with those harassment.
They even go ahead as far as checking driver's license and all of that. But then if you want to check if a car is roadworthy, you need to see the car, because you get to the road and you see some cars are very smoky, causing environmental hazards and all of that. You even see some with an expired tire, especially people who travel long distances. If these people are not caught in the process, it will be difficult to even sanction them. So I think there should be it should be looked into in a way. But for this judgment to be passed, there must be some things that have been put in place. Probably we'll have a VIO officer sometime to tell us what it is, because with all this, now you don't go to the road, you don't impound vehicles, you don't do this, you don't collect money from anyone.
I think probably they've most have crossed the line or done something to a high profile person, so they've been, if not
unturned. Maybe later, after a while, this is Nigeria. But then I think it's a good one, because the harassment, I heard, I wasn't there, that I think VIO was chasing a driver, and at the end of the day, some incidences happened. So many things. So they overdo. Let me use that word. They overzealous, they are overzealous. Some persons say, well, the money they collect from the road is where they are being paid and all of that. Well, I'm not very sure of that.
The income they generate is determines.
So sometimes you see them going extra mile to even bring money out of people's pocket.
Forcefully,
trying to look for one fault or the other.
Yes, it's like once you feel like they're determined. When they're determined to find the fault, they know that there's only you can escape
everything. Okay, let me see this. And
the irony of it, if you look at the vehicles of the same VIO, the ass is worse, and you wonder, you're catching me for breaking infringement of these rules, while your own vehicle is worse off.
Just like, if you want to talk about that, it's a very long story.
But, so which other story is of interest as we move on to other papers? We're still looking at Daily Hub. I think VIO is of more interest to you.
In fact, the VIO is still the big story on this paper, First News, and that's the next point of call. The big story say end to harassment. Court bars VIO from stopping impounding vehicles, imposing fines.
That's interesting.
I'm usually interested to this guy.
No,
it won't be interesting. I know a few persons who work there, and I think I'm going to speak with a few of them to really know what it is. Because for it to be in almost all the papers since yesterday is something. And it's like, especially in FCT, a lot of people are excited with this story. I was telling someone, I said, it is in FCT that the activities of VIO are so pronounced.
True. At state levels, it doesn't exist.
It's road safety people are scared of, but in FCT, it's VIO. So a lot of people might be excited with this news, but then let's see how the implementation will go. And the next story says ex-Taraba governor Ishaku gets 150 million naira bail in 27 billion naira fraud case. Okay, then this one says Announce rejects NECO's 50,000 naira certificate reprint fee, demands immediate reversal. Meaning if you want to reprint your certificate, you pay 50,000 naira. I don't know how much registration is right now to register for the NECO. NANS is actually rejecting that and they are calling for reversal. Let's see, we will let you know if it's been reversed. You'll get to know on this platform. Then this one says Tinubu transmits 4 fiscal policy tax reform bills to Senate. Then this one says Senate passes South Development Bill through second reading. This development bill will have the North Central pushing for theirs. We have the South. We have a lot of people pushing for this. Let's see how this is going to end. Now to Rivers State. The kicker says Fubara. Then the story itself says, I'm the biggest loser in Rivers local government pool. All right, Fubara is the one saying that. You can pick a copy of the First News to actually get more details if it's of interest to you. Then this one says, Femi Falana, that's the kicker. I've never met or spoken to Bobrisky. That's Femi Falana saying that. You know what's happening? The VDM, the Bobrisky, the Falana, and of course Falana's son, the issue, the case. But then I was seeing one video where VDM was saying, how would I even accuse Falana of anything?
For me, I just feel it's just social media stunts. First of all, I think it's very disrespectful. Then secondly, I think it also further shows how corrupt our prisons are. Remember, there were certain times the issue of the prison warders colluding with terrorists in the prison cells to carry out havoc, do transfers on behalf of the terrorists in the prisons. And we noticed when the Tunji Bumi, that's the interior minister, when he took over, he did tour the facilities across the country. He made very key assurances that there was going to be very strong, stern reforms for the correctional services. But what we saw was correct, and the reforms were basically name by the name, but things happening inside is still the same. It's very disheartening that prison warders could collude with someone of not a very good role model. We're talking about someone who...
but I think it's still an accusation.
It's lots of officers have been suspended.
They were suspended so that
for further
investigations can be carried out. It is because if investigation, if they did not say categorically that the prisons have been compromised.
No, this is second very huge accusation. It's not like it's the first one.
Since the case is under investigation.
I think already just is a further confirmation to what we've had in the past as regards what's happening in the prisons.
Right now, investigations going on. I heard one of the prison officers where he said, well, things like that happen. He actually accepted that Bobrisky was not in the general prison because he had some features, okay, that could lead to disaster.
And the best place to put him was in an apartment.
He said they have an apartment where they keep people like that. Then one issue that was actually not so clear to me is the fact that there was a gift that came from Bobrisky's family to the prison. He said some chairs. He discovered that some chairs were actually gifted the prisons by Bobrisky's family while he was in custody. And he said, according to him, he said he asked them to take it out. And all of that. So many things playing out. Let's wait until after the investigation, then we'll come to conclusion.
I think I don't like to paper things, so I like being real straightforward. The prisons have compromised over time. Even Chidima's case about the killing of the Super TV CEO also did cause some issues where the prisons were sanctioned for carrying out a beauty pageantry that had Chidima, the accused person, taking part in it. So the question is, you have people who have allegedly committed crimes, and they're behind bars as a way to reform them, and you allow them to take part in such social events.
The correlation.
No, the correlation is that the prisons.
I'm talking about putting up a beauty pageant for
so it just tells you
things that you can do to skill acquisition. Very important.
Much better, but it just tells you how compromised the prisons are. Things they would do just because someone is not doing their job. So I think that we need to be sincere reforms in our correctional services for things to pan out right.
More still coming from the first news this morning. This one says, okay, I think we've talked about it. Then let's just get to this one looks like a big story too.
Okay.
Just beneath. It says, Tinubu to terrorists, bandits, that's the kicker. Surrender now or be wiped out. I think that sounds so good.
Yeah,
sounds so good.
And I've never seen my vice president look so good in the Southeast attire.
Like an Igbo man here.
Yeah,
that's the picture we're talking about. The
picture story.
The picture story
on the first news.
On the first news.
I wish you can share
it on your
screen. Yeah, so you can see
how his
the vice president looking so.
I think this is from Nigeria.
Yeah,
he may be given a title because of this.
Yeah, he looks so good.
This is when we talk about unity, promoting unity
and the culture.
The truth is, putting on this, does that really brings the unity that we're talking about?
Yeah,
I think beyond putting on the attire, the heart should be connected with what we are seeing too. I think that will go a long way promoting the unity that we're clamoring for as a nation.
I think you're talking about the heart. I've seen there was this summit that was held in the Southeast led by the Deputy Senate President Benjamin Kalu, where the Vice President was in attendance. He made very sweeping statement, very strong statement that made the people of Southeast feel connected to Nigeria. And with this attire, whether you like it or not, if the people of South see him, they're going to see him in a different light, feeling like he's connected. Yes, that's why I said Ohio is Indigo.
With the appearance, with the attire, his facial look even changed.
Yeah, you see that he's not just wearing an attire, he's in the attire. The attire is looking lovely.
Reflection of the attire. Looking at his facial appearance.
Because this could, if he was in a campaign train, this is enough to make some electors say, I think I like this guy.
This campaign make a region, they put on the attire, even the president.
And for me, I get to see he looks nicer in this Southeast guy. I'm telling you.
He looks good.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks good on him. All right, finally from the first news, court summons Yahaya Bello Over 110 billion naira fraud allegation. The issue of Yaya Bello being flogged back, front, right, left and center is becoming something worrisome right now. Some persons are saying, is it that a single person is bigger than the agency? What's really happening? And a whole lot. People are saying so many things. It's not something we can talk about right now. If that story interests you, pick a copy of the First newspaper and go through it for more details as we move to the next point of call.
All right, we've got The Guardian. The global AM news is upon us, so we'll quickly run through The Guardian. We've got The Guardian with headline stories, and we've got led by passion, imperial by political class, broken system. We've got ASU from the education sector. We've got ASU is the kicker there. It says Nigeria in hopeless state, situation worse than 1984. That's coming from ASU, and page 7 is where you get that big story on The Guardian. And then we've got Bureau knocks LASG officials for failure to file submit assets form. Page 28 is where you find that story. Grab a copy of The Guardian. We've got a court grants Taraba ex-governor Shaku 150 million naira bail in alleged 27 billion naira fraud suit. That's a big one there. Then we've got your days are numbered, says federal government as bandits there Tinubu and ECOWAS 5,000 man force. That's a great challenge there. We've got Tinubu submit tax reform bills to National Assembly, may rename FIRS. You get that from The Guardian newspaper. Grab a copy, then you know more. On page 6 of The Guardian comes this headline: amid food inflation concerns, MBS claims average healthy diet now 1,255 naira. Amid food inflation concerns, MBS claims average healthy diet now 1,255 naira. Page 6 is where you get the details of that story. Companies battle inflation, foreign exchange issues, lose 30% of shares value in 9 months. Page 18 is where you get that story. Then flipping to page 6 on The Guardian comes these big headlines. Tension as Pro-Wike and Fubara comes head for climax in Rivers Council polls. Tension as Pro-Wike and Fubara comes head for climax in Rivers Council polls.
That's a big situation. Yeah. I would have loved to talk about this, but the news won't allow us go in
time. That's our friend. So we'll go for let's go for a very quick break. When we return after the global news, we'll continue with looking at some of the big stories making the rounds. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News and Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Niconsat. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment in fighting Nigeria's insecurity. He stated this while delivering a keynote address during the inauguration international lecture organized by the News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja. Ken Michael has the report.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by his National Security Advisor Malam Ribadu, says the security has improved over the short stay of President Tinubu in office.
This is just the beginning. Sit down and wait and see what is going to happen. Nigeria will be, inshallah, protected. Nigeria will be fixed. Nigeria will be better. It's time for us to turn everything. And we're going to do it.
Mr. Ribadu compared insecurity at the past with an increased improvement under his watch, stressing that the present administration is determined to combat insecurity, bedeviling some parts of the country.
But I'm here to tell you that Mr. President, love his people. Mr. President cares for Nigerians. Mr. President will never allow pain and harm to Nigerians. We will not. You will work hard to serve me. You will not regret electing me as your president. I can assure you of that. Every single moment. Nothing more important to do than Nigeria and Nigerians.
Speaking as the lecture's chairman, Nigeria's former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, retired, enumerated factors fueling crisis in the Sahel region to include poverty, unemployment, climate change, among others. He advised that Nigeria's capacity in fighting the menace shouldn't be diminished.
These factors have certainly created a fertile ground for insecurity to thrive, with devastating impacts on our dear nation. We must not, however, lose faith in our capacity to ride above the storms of insecurity, since this challenge is the business of each and every Nigerian, and indeed all Africans.
In his address of welcome, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, insists that security is every Nigeria's business, while assuring that Tinubu's administration holds it a duty to create a safer nation.
The violence in the Sahel, therefore, is not an isolated issue, and no single country can tackle it alone. Therefore, Nigeria has stepped up its engagement with its neighbors and other regional and international partners. A strengthening joint military operations such as the multinational joint task force, and also supporting initiatives that aim to stabilize the Sahel region.
The inaugural lecture, which also had goodwill messages from security chiefs, governors, ministers, and foreign ambassadors, is part of the national efforts to unravel public discourse on the deliberating challenges of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and militancy, among others, in the country. Edika Michael for Global TV News.
Ahead of the October 5th local government election in Benue State, Governor Hyacinth Alias has declared Friday, October 4, a work-free day. Alias declared in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Teso Kula, and made it available to the newsmen in Makurdi, the state capital, that the work-free day is to allow the electorate travel to their respective local government areas to exercise their franchise. He emphasized the importance of active participation in the electoral process and encouraged all citizens to take advantage of this work-free day to exercise their civic duty. The Inter-Party Advisory Council, also called IPAC, has condemned alleged plans by some interest groups and politicians to truncate the upcoming Rivers State local government election, urging that the nation's democracy should be jealously guided. Global Television correspondent tells us more.
The council's chairman, Yusuf Dantale, stated that it was time Nigeria did away with the era of caretaker committees overseeing local government affairs.
The era of caretaker committee to administer the affairs of local government in Nigeria is over, with the recent Supreme Court landmark judgment which granted financial autonomy to them. It must be noted that it is a Supreme Court judgment that has now accelerated the conduct of local government elections across the country, which some misguided politicians want to abort for personal aggrandizement. This will not happen under our watch.
Dantale called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and all stakeholders to ensure that the local government polls are not sabotaged, charging electorates in Rivers State to come out en masse to be part of the upcoming electoral exercise to ensure a free, fair, and credible elections.
IPAC also urges political parties to actively participate in the elections and enjoin eligible voters to turn out in mass and vote for candidates of their choices. IPAC also demands free, fair, credible, peaceful, inclusive elections. IPAC urges the judiciary to be guided by the Constitution, rule of law, national interest to avoid truncating the nation's democracy.
Social Democratic and Zenith Labour Party chairman Shehu Musa Gabam and Dan Iwayanwu stated that disregard for the rule of law and abuse of power of incumbency have had adverse impact on the nation's electoral process.
As SDP, we have sued 6 states local government elections. The process were not followed. So I'm here to discuss issues of judicial recklessness in creating this position, not to endorse any state governor that do not comply with the law.
Judiciary should help us save this democracy. They should help us. They should not be looking towards those with deep pockets. That is what we are seeing today.
The council sued for a multi-stakeholder collaboration to ensure successful local government polls across the country. Anthony Momodu reporting for Global TV News.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has charged Edo State Governor-elect Monday Okpeholo to ensure he fulfills his campaign promises to the people. Here is Amarachi Ibe's story.
This is the first time the Edo State Governor-elect Okpebholo Monday is visiting Imo State Government House after the All Progressive Congress APC won the election of September 21, 2024 in Edo State. The aim of the visit is to thank Governor Hope Uzodinma for the brotherly role he played during the election, as well as invite him for his inauguration that will take place in November 12, 2024. In his response, the governor...
By the grace of God, 12th of November is the swearing-in. We know that you will be there to perform the role of a father, which you are to the progressive governors.
In his response, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, expressed gratitude for the visit and reminded him to fulfill his campaign promises to the people of Edo State.
To do those things you promised during the campaign, to give Edo State a new look, to bring prosperity to Edo and development, and to justify the confidence reposed on you by the leaders of our party in Edo State and members of our party in Edo State, and indeed the entire Edo indigenes.
Dignitaries present during the visit are Edo State Deputy Governor-elect Dennis Idahosa, Senator Adams Oshomole, and the All Progressive Congress Edo State Chairman. Hopefully, this visit of Edo State Governor-elect Monday Okpebholo to Governor Hope Uzodinma will bring a closer ties to the people of Imo State and Edo State. From Government House Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
The National Emergency Management Agency has handed over bags of rice and other humanitarian relief aid donated by the Bank of Industry and the government of the United Arab Emirates to assist persons affected by flooding and other disasters in the country. Speaking at the handover ceremony in Abuja, the Director General of NEMA, Zubaida Umar, explained that 18,653 bags of rice were donated by the bank and 50 tons of humanitarian relief aid were donated by the Emirati government to support the efforts of the federal and state governments of Nigeria in mitigating the impact of the ongoing flood and other disasters in the country. Umar noted that the bags of rice donated by the Bank of Industry were shared with 6 states to assist internally displaced persons in their camps across the affected states. Justice Evelyn Maha of the Federal High Court in Abuja has issued an order restraining the Directorate of the Road Traffic Services, commonly known as the Vehicle Inspection Office, from stopping, impounding, or confiscating vehicles on the road. The court also barred the Road Traffic Services from imposing fines on motorists. The judgment, delivered on October 2nd by Justice Maha, stemmed from a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by human rights activist and public interest attorney Abubakar Marshall. President Bola Tinubu has issued a stern warning to terrorists and bandits troubling Nigerians, urging them to surrender to government forces or face legal consequences in battle. Tinubu, who stated that his administration has had enough of the activities of bandits, terrorists, and other non-state actors, said he has put in place both kinetic and non-kinetic strategies to eliminate the criminal elements tormenting the country. The president spoke in Abuja at the inaugural international lecture organized by the News Agency of Nigeria. You're watching the AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the AM News returns, World Bank partners the Ministry on Maritime Sector Development. Details of these and more after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. Thank you for staying with us. In a different development, Zamfara State Police Command has arrested 6 foreigners from Burkina Faso and Niger Republic in connection with illegal mining and banditry in the state. The State Commissioner of Police, Mohammed Dalijan, while parading the suspect at the command headquarters in Gusau, Zamfara State capital, said 3 suspects who are from Burkina Faso were arrested along the Anka local government, while the late bandit kingpin Halilu Subudu's mining site is located. Queen Agaba has the report.
Police, Zamfara State, Mohammed Dalijan, noted that the suspects from Burkina Faso were arrested with some dangerous chemicals, including CNI chemicals, which they were using in extracting gold, while the 3 foreigners with 3 locally fabricated AK-47 rifles and AK-47 ammunitions. The Commissioner of Police said 10 additional illegal miners from Talata Mafara local government with many bags of mineral processing chemicals were also arrested.
For someone to leave Burkina Faso to come and enter our bush where our people cannot ordinarily enter, there is more to it. That's why I invited the federal mining officer so that we put heads together and see what we can do about this ugly trend.
He expressed concerns over the rate of irregular migration of foreigners into the country with the aim of committing crimes, while re-emphasizing his command's effort to ensure the ban of mining by the federal and state governments is fully enforced. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
In business, President Bola Tinubu has submitted 4 tax reform bills to the National Assembly for consideration. In a letter read during their respective plenary sessions by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and the Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas, the President explained that the bills were crafted to align with his administration's goals. The proposed bills include the Nigerian Tax Bill 2024, which aims to establish a comprehensive physical framework for tax regulation. The federal government has announced that it will commence implementation of the $750 million World Bank-funded rural electrification project in November. The managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Aliyu, disclosed this, saying the federal government says the project will provide over 17.5 million Nigerians with new and improved access to electricity through distributed renewable energy solutions. A former acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Folashadun Shonubi, told Justice Mariam Amini of the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Maitama, Abuja, that intrigues and politics were involved in the Naira redesign exercise carried out in 2022. Shonubi, who served as the Deputy Governor of Operations before his appointment as acting CBN Governor and is now retired, appeared in court as a witness in the trial of ex-CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. He claimed that the redesigned Naira notes released by the CBN under Emefiele were different from what ex-President Muhammadu Buhari approved. While responding to questions from Emefiele's lawyer Olalekan Ojo, SAN, Shonubi said the late 2022 Naira redesign exercise ahead of the 2023 general elections was fraught with politics. The World Bank Group has expressed its desire to collaborate with the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy to develop Nigeria's maritime sector. Announcing this in a statement, an aide to the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Ismail Omipidon, said the move was in line with the vision of the ministry, leading a team of the World Bank Group on a courtesy visit to the Blue Economy Minister, Adegboyega Oyetola. MS Leah Singhat said the visit was to discuss the government's vision for the development of a sustainable and integrated blue economy and sustainable fisheries. The national average cost of the healthy diet per adult a day stood at 1,255 naira in August 2024, the National Bureau of Statistics has said. The NBS revealed this in its report for August 2024 released on Thursday in Abuja. The Bureau said that in August decreased by 0.8% compared to the 1,265 naira recorded in July. The agency said the report is the least expensive combination of locally available items that met globally consistent food-based dietary guidelines. Determined to arrest the spirit of divestment in the nation's oil and gas sector, the federal government has announced a new fiscal regime with a wide range of tax exemptions in the industry. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, says the fiscal incentives were aimed at revitalizing Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The VAT Modification Order 2024 introduces exemptions on a range of key energy products and infrastructure, including diesel, feed gas, liquefied petroleum gas, compressed natural gas, electric vehicles and liquefied natural gas infrastructure, and clean cooking equipment. The Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS Parliament has called on regional parliamentarians to step up efforts towards ensuring West African women's financial inclusion and investments to promote female entrepreneurship and economic empowerment. The Parliament Speaker, Moumunatu Ibrahima, spoke at the closing ceremony of its third extraordinary session and second parliamentary seminar in Lome, Togo. She said the Parliament was committed to addressing the myriad of challenges militating against West African women who are represented by ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association. On the foreign scene, Iran resumed domestic and international flights following a brief suspension caused by its missile attack on Israel. The Islamic Republic launched 200 missiles at Israel, marking its second direct military strike on the country. The first occurred in April and involved a combined missile and drone attack. The case of the two black women allegedly shot and fed to pigs by a white farmer and his workers has sparked widespread outrage in South Africa. Maria Makato, 35, and Lucia Ndolovo, 34, were reportedly searching for food on a farm near the Polokwane in Limpopo province when they were shot in August. Their bodies were then allegedly fed to pigs in an attempt to conceal the crime. And running to the exciting world of sports, Super Eagles interim coach Augustin Eguavoen has outlined the conditions under which he might accept a full-time role. Eguavoen, who is currently tasked with leading the team through the 2025 AFCON qualifiers against Libya after securing 4 points in the first 2 matches, stated that he would consider a permanent position only if certain requirements are met. He explained that these include a long-term contract, patience, and consistent support from the Football Association. The 3-time head coach Eguavoen bemoaned not having been given enough time to fully carry out his vision for the squad. World Football's governing body FIFA made no verdict either way on a Palestinian request to suspend Israel, instead launching committee investigations to inform an eventual decision. At FIFA's Congress in Bangkok in May, the Palestinian Football Association called for its Israeli counterpart to be suspended and for Israeli teams to be banned from FIFA events. FIFA was initially set to hold an extraordinary session of its ruling council before July 20th to review the independent legal analysis and decide how to proceed. However, the deadline was pushed back to give legal experts more time to complete a report. That's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276 and free to air on Nikon site. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Anthony Momodu. Thank you for watching.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Alright, welcome back from the Global AM News. It's now time for us to just look at some of the headlines in the papers, then also get into the talking point as we hope to look at some of the challenges in the media space and the socio-political, socio-economic end part of it. We've got, like as usual, we get the finest minds in the African continent to help us look at very salient issues, and today's no exception, as we've got in the person of Ben Shemang, who is with the African Service of Deutsche Welle, a very renowned media practitioner right here to help us with some of the talking points and also into looking at the challenges in the media space. It's an honor to have you in the studios. Thank you very much for being here. Right, let's just look at what the Guardian newspaper is saying. We've got some headline stories. One of them has to do with the education sector. It says Nigerian teachers is the kicker there, lured by passion, impaired and by political class and a broken system is one of the headlines on the Guardian. We've got ASU is the rider there. Nigeria in hopeless state, situation worse than in 1984. That big story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And we've got court grants Taraba ex-governor Ishaku 150 million naira bail in alleged 27 billion naira fraud suit. Now we've got your days are numbered, says federal government as bandits there, Tinubu and ECOWAS 5,000 man force. We've got companies battling inflation, foreign exchange issues, lose 30% of share value in 9 months is a headline story. Then we've got from River State comes the tough one. Tension as pro-wiki and footballer camps head for climax in Rivers Council polls. Then we've got amid food inflation concerns, MBS claims average healthy diet now 1,255 naira. Then we've got Tinubu submits tax reform bills to National Assembly, labeling FIRS. Those are some of the headline stories there from the Guardian. But let's look at these headline stories. Which of them for you catches a fancy?
Yeah, I think the educational sector is key.
It's key, okay.
If we get it right, I think that many things could be okay. Education is key, you know. It wipes away ignorance, it wipes away disease, it tells you what to do. Once you're educated, I think that the sky will just be your zenith. It's going to be another stepping stone for you to move upwards. So I think that educationally we should be getting it right. And if we get it right, Nigeria will get it right. But one is worried, however, with these incessant strikes by ASU. Globally, you see, scientifically, there are breakthroughs. Research is being done by researchers, and some companies will key into them, and before you know it, some things tangible. You know this thing in nouns, they say tangible nouns.
Yes.
Things you can touch, things you can hold. A torchlight, a phone, or a blender, so that we begin to make all of these various scientific researches, but we are not seeing them yet. Recall during the COVID-19, where government decided to set up some specialized funds and say, look, researchers go and research on all kinds of diseases in Nigeria. Now we are not hearing anything, rather we are hearing of strike. Where is the anything? Maybe you too, Anthony, myself, we are not also digging into it to see what has happened or what is not happening. The National Assembly too, when you appropriate funds and they are meant for such projects, in terms of oversight function, have you gone to see whether this work is being done? Nigerian citizens, there is the Freedom of Information Act. Can you use it to invoke the fact that you can ask for information? What have you used this money for? And let's see the stage at which it is, so that Nigerians will know that we are moving forward. So education is key. I like that headline.
Do you agree with ASU that Nigeria is in a hopeless state and is worse than 1984? And what do you think the government doesn't see education as a key priority in terms of budget allocation? We've never hit a 20% mark in terms of budget allocation.
Well, by way of comparison, if I say 1984, I think I was in part 1, and it was good that time in terms of the quality of food, the quality of education. I remember in some universities during convocations, at best you have 3 first-class students. But today, every department must produce as many as 10 at least. Except otherwise, it's a difficult course and the people are just 5. Out of the 5, maybe 3 will get a first class, you know. Also, but talking of today, there is population explosion. Some people say we have quality education as opposed to quantity education. So we have to look at our curriculum. What is it that we are teaching our students? Are they employable after graduation? And that's why I think University of Abuja, they've introduced whatever you're doing, you have to go look at what you can do with your hands physically, not just reading and doing very nice definitions, but what is it? Even if it is just hairdressing,
something practical.
A restaurant, that you can run. Can you go into painting? Can you go into carving? Can you go into just anything, farming outside your education? After all, if you check many of these politicians, I mean, some were journalists, but they went into some other things. Bukola Saraki is a doctor. Ruagan of the Delta is a doctor. You know, you find pharmacists there. You find journalists there. Azikiwe was a journalist. Samad Bello, Herbert Macaulay. I mean, Awolowo. Many of them were journalists. Ikem Wachuku. You know, they all were journalists, but they veered into some other things, economically, agriculture, and all that stuff. And that is why we are also saying that whatever you are reading, have a plan B, so that you don't just end up parading, I have first class, when indeed the man with a past degree, as we used to have those days, is busy creating wealth. You are busy parading papers, so it doesn't go well.
All right, let's look at tension as per Wiki Amfubara comes head for climax in Rivers council polls, and already we saw lots of protests yesterday by APC and PDP supporters in Rivers as elections shouldn't hold. And IPAC did hold a World press conference yesterday where they said they were standing behind INEC for elections to go ahead Saturday 5th, saying that elections or Nigeria's democracy should not be truncated like the 1993 presidential elections was. What's your take on what's playing out in Rivers?
I think I would for people of Rivers State and by implication Nigeria. Those days, if I had the opportunity, I would always sing this on Port Harcourt, fine or something like that. But is it fine today? No thanks to those you call the political gladiators in Rivers State. The Minister of FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike, is pulling his part. Fubara is doing his, and many other stakeholders are either following this or that. And there are some who are seated on the fence. So it's not the best. You have a court saying, don't do the election. Some will say we must do it. At the point they said even the voters register, some people attempted to steal it wearing some security uniforms, trying to break through, but at the point some people saw that it was out of mischief, criminal conduct. Some have been arrested. So why do we intend to, why do we have all of this? And if I were to be Wike, I tell you, I just love to be one big positive political godfather. He's doing well here in Abuja, so that he builds a kind of a political structure that will be so nice. But look at the game that is taking place in PDP. He is there, but he is what APC serving the government, serving Nigeria. Let me not say serving APC. It's a good thing that at the point you have a kind of government of national unity, so to speak. We saw it in the days of Shagari, and so it was a nice thing that time. We didn't have issues like this. So I think that the poor man, poor woman, the fisherman, the trader, the
the transporter in Rivers State is living under a state of, let me call it bondage, political bondage, that needs some liberty. And who will give them the liberty? These same stakeholders. None is ready to take the humble pie, take a bow. No, each is saying, I must win. And in winning, there has to be just one winner. Mm-hmm. So when will that winner arise? We don't know. And that brings in the political uncertainty in Rivers State.
Well, sad commentary. It's now time for us to delve into the other talking point. We've got just 12 minutes to talk into that. Let's look at, we'll be looking at the challenges in the media space, and also the socio-economic impact on our lives. Let's quickly just look at, for you, with your experience, vast experience from the Voice of Nigeria and now the African Service of Deutsche Welle, a renowned media outfit. What would you say is the brain of the media in Nigeria currently as it stands? Knowing that we just celebrated our 64th anniversary.
Yeah, it's nice that Nigeria celebrated its 64th anniversary. And if you look at those who are at the forefront, like I mentioned, Adeyemo Alakija, Herbert Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Awolowo, Ike Nwachukwu, quite a lot, Jaja Nwachukwu, quite a lot of them were journalists who fought for independence of this country. And that was why we didn't have a kind of a guerrilla group that would go fight against the colonialists. Rather, mosquitoes and journalists helped, because the colonial masters could not withstand malaria. In the same vein, they couldn't withstand the vicious nature of the Nigerian writer. So good a thing. But we got that independence. How is journalism today? How is broadcasting today? You realize that, the economy is bad, and therefore it affects journalism. If you're talking of digitization, for example, do we actually have the money required to go digital? And when you're talking about even transmitters, your studios, for example, we don't manufacture a single thing at all. We have to import many of these things, or virtually everything that we want to use. So where is the money? And the nose-diving nature of the Nigerian economy is also a very bad thing. Where are the advertisements? Some people, because today we're talking of citizen journalism, just pick your phone, snap something, and so be it. You post, you believe you are into journalism. Then you also look at your advertisements. Let's say your station now. How many adverts are coming in? They are very, very key to running, to paying salaries. Because if you're talking of a situation where you have a radio station, a TV station, if a TV man must go on duty, principally we expect three things, traditionally, so to speak. You have to have a vehicle, you have a driver, you have a cameraman, and the reporter. But it's so, there's the shrinking nature of it, where the reporter, I do some work for Deutsche Welle. What I do, I become the studio manager, I become my editor, I become the man doing my voiceover, and in my bedroom, in my sitting room, or outside under a mango tree in my compound, I file my stories and they go global. But in Nigeria, do we have many of these facilities? Sometimes you don't just employ and you say, go ye and work. With what facilities? And you look at the salaries. We are here to earn a living. The owner of every station is also here to earn a living. How do we make it? And sometimes you make it via some political patronages. If you patronize a certain party, okay, you get adverts. If you don't, okay, they shut the case against you. I remember the case of Luka been here. But I'm not here to run down any media organization, but he had it rough because he was not in sync with El-Rufai that time. And El-Rufai requested that the station where he worked then should take care of that man, and somewhere along the line, too many stories, and that is the challenge of the Nigerian journalists. So in terms of training too, we are a profession where we have a profession where look, everybody, you read political science, you read architecture, you read law, you read medicine, you read history. Okay, everybody will want to dive in, but how many people, how do you sanction quackery or cracks in the system? Can you wake up today because you are a nurse, you say you are a doctor? No. Can you wake up today because you read midwifery, you say you are a pharmacist? No. Can you become an architect when really you are just a draughtsman? No. But why is it that in journalism, just like teaching, everybody will just feel, no, I can teach, no, I can write, you know? We are saying, if you read political science or you read whatever, go get some other professional training so that you are armed to be a professional journalist. And that's why even people who go for public relations, you are expected to also have some elements in handling, to have some certificate, some training, so that you know what to do. In terms of, if you're a government spokesman, you shouldn't just be what you call a spin doctor. When things are bad, you say, oh God, don't mind them. They are just the enemies you have around. You know, you are doing very well. It's really not so. That's not public relations. I agree that things are bad. So journalism, we need training, just like teaching. You just see that people are just rushing, you know, I read chemistry, I can teach.
All right, as we wrap up quickly, in terms of the hazards of the profession, in terms of the loss of lives of journalists, the fact that we're always at arm's way, to say the least, because we report stories, we do interviews, the fact that journalists are being targeted by not just political personalities, but also during war times. Do you think journalists have been given enough cover, enough life insurances?
No, we don't have insurance in Nigeria. I have been what you call an embedded correspondent. When soldiers are going to the northeast to fight Boko Haram, they give me some uniform, I follow them, and I see that people get killed and people get injured. Your station is not bothered, but they are bothered. That was when I was working with a government agency. People just want your news. No one wants to know the hazards you're encountering. And when you are shot or killed or fired or injured, nobody pays you anything. And when you go to war zones, you count corpses, you count this. My brother Anthony, sometimes you need some psychological managers to tell you, look, all those corpses you have seen, gentlemen, can you try this? How are you going to do to forget about them? If not, they haunt you. They haunt forever. Even today, I still remember in Zakibiam, for example, what the Dogunahawa in Plateau, or going to Gambarungala, Mafa in Maiduguri. Some of the crises I saw, beauty pageant crisis here in Abuja, in Kano, Kaduna, you count corpses, you see all sorts of people beheaded. I mean, you see torsos of human beings here and there. But what do you do psychologically to come out of this? Nobody teaches you. When you see intestines, it's gory. We need some psychologists to also manage journalists, just like the military, those who are doing all of this. You need some management to handle them psychologically, so that you see it's like a call to duty, that duty that you have to do, that if you don't do it, others will come kill your community and other members of your community.
Why do you think the journalists are poorly paid or not appreciated?
Well, journalists are not poorly paid because it's right from, it's a perception kind of a thing, perception index. Someone sees you with suit, see you with Babab regard, but what they call it, that press girl, that press boy, that kind of perception. When indeed with one single story, sentence of a story, it can make nonsense of a government policy. We're opinion molders, but we have to be paid correctly. But the unfortunate thing is that generally the economy is bad. We need to be singled out, however, to be paid. It's not easy. Look at the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Journalism or the mass media has been singled out as the fourth estate of the realm. They will hold government to account for actions, inactions, what they've done, what they failed to do, or what they will fail to do because of wrong planning. Because we see, we project, we analyze, we tell them these are the facts before us. In spite of that position in the constitution, we are not given our rightful places. If you want to talk of CBN, they will need us to publicize their activities. You're talking about the military, they need the journalists to be the bridge builder between what they are doing and the population, so that the population will begin to know what exactly they are doing. If you don't have that bridge via the media, then something is wrong. In spite of all of that, the journalists who work in the State House, work in NNPC, report defense matters. In the end, he leaves walking, trekking, one bus a certain distance will earn it by road. It's not good enough, and that's why you have this brown envelope syndrome, because you can't pay quite a lot of your bills. You need to that story. You don't want that story to pass without you reporting it, and for that reason he suffers most. And come rain, come shine, there are bomb blasts, people are running away, you are going to that scene. Why are you going? So that people will know. But who takes care of you? No insurance, nothing for you. You just pray, God, unto thee I surrender. That's our clarion prayer in this country as journalists.
It's a very sad commentary, but it's also so sad that that's how much time is going to let us take on this first discourse. I want to say a big thank you to Ben Sherman, who is like a detailed, renowned journalist right here in Nigeria and the African continent. He works with the African Service of Deutsche Welle, and also former director at the Voice of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us in the live studios.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
All right, that's how much we're going to take with him. We'll go for another quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be focusing, hopefully, we'll be taking you to the Middle East, where the ambassador of Palestine in the person of Abdul Shawesh will be joining us to look at how we can address the conflict in the Middle East. Stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast.